It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello and welcome to Generation Skywalker. I am Craig Spivey and today I've been joined by two special guests. With me right now is Richard Elwell. Hello, Rich.
Hello.
We've known each other on and off for a long time, haven't we?
Oh yeah, it must be, 20 years, 25 years?
Good Lord.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day. It must be that long now, yeah.
Although I'd never have pictured me interviewing you on a Star Wars podcast.
I think you and me both, actually. But here we are. Exciting.
It is exciting. But with no disrespect to you, we're going to be focusing a little bit more on my other guest today, because we're here to discuss his passion for collecting vintage Star Wars figures. And that's Rich's 11-year-old son, Seth. Hello, Seth.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, yeah.
Excellent. Now, I am part of a generation of Star Wars collectors who was there for the first movies, and it's the warm and fuzzy nostalgic feelings that come from owning the toys from our childhood that are a big driver for a lot of us. And, as we spend increasing amounts of money and time and effort curating these treasure troves, we do sometimes worry about where that next generation of vintage collectors will come from. So it's nice when I see parents with their kids enjoying something like Echo Live or the vintage dealer tables at Celebration together. Myself, I've bought my three boys over the years the odd beta figure in the hope that they will catch the collecting bug like their old man. My twins are now 15 and my oldest is 20. And I think it's fair to say that they all like Star Wars and they have an appreciation of the collection. None of it ever really inspired them to collect themselves. Although my lad Lachlan, he has a little shelf of Chewbacca's from more modern eras. I only mention it because it's a nice opportunity to show some embarrassing photos of them on the enhanced version of this interview. And somewhere I think I've got some great footage of the twins playing with my Palatoy Death Star when they were about 6. So I'll have to fish that out.
Splash. What? I got out again. What? No, I got to get out. How do we get out this room?
Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level, will ya? Do you copy? Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level.
Richard, I don't know you as a collector, and I'm pretty sure you haven't dragged Seth around vintage toy shows in your time. Am I right in that assumption?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've always loved the films. that was a big hit in our house in '77. So my dad was a fan as well, and so no, you can't call me a sort of an aficionado, but I've always had an appreciation, a big appreciation for the films. We did have some figures when we were little. Those have sadly gone awry. So me and my brother have been trying to search them out at my mum's house, but they sadly seem to have disappeared. So we didn't have many figures, but we had a few. But they cost £1.49 from the local Asda, which was actually a lot of money then when you got 10 pence a week pocket money.
So it's a really nice lad and dad thing to be doing for you both.
Very much, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm dying to find out a bit more about how an 11-year-old lad today gets into collecting vintage Star Wars toys specifically. So coming to Seth, around the time you were born, season 2 and 3 of the Clone Wars were brand new. Can you remember the first Star Wars show you ever watched or movie?
I think it was probably A New Hope, the first one.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. I don't think I've ever really watched like series like Clone Wars or anything. Never really been into them.
So what was it that appealed to you about that first movie?
I think the characters were better in the first one that I watched, because I did see a bit of the Clone Wars but never really got into it. And I think the characters were better in A New Hope too.
Who's your favourite character?
Probably Vader or something.
Cool. Dark side guy.
Yeah.
So if you weren't really into the shows, and I remember, around that time, there were Clone Wars pajamas and all that kind of stuff, a lot of merchandise around. I mean, did you have any of that? Did you always have Star Wars toys?
Oh, I didn't really have merchandise. When you said Star Wars toys, I didn't really have much of that either.
So you encountered A New Hope. Did you watch it on Blu-ray, DVD, on the TV?
I think it was on DVD or something.
And how soon after did you go out and watch the next one?
I think I was quite young when I saw The Empire Strikes Back.
Nice that you didn't have to wait for a few years for it to come out like me and your dad did.
Yeah.
So you saw these original movies when you were quite young. Can you remember when you first became aware of these vintage figures?
Well, I think because when we went to Grandma's, there was a couple of figures in the boxes, like the play box or something. I didn't really know about them, but I think it was Dad was looking at them and I just was starting to like them. At first, I thought it's ridiculous price for just one figure. I think when I got into it, I understood why there was that much price on each figure.
I think just to give you a bit of context as well, Craig, at Mum's house, there was a Rebel Commando has survived the last 40 odd years. That was the only one we could find, and I think you kept asking me, didn't you, if we could find any more figures. So we've been on a sort of hunt ever since, trying to find out where the other ones went to, if they were lost or nicked, or we don't know.
So it's been part of a family quest.
Yeah. My brother thinks there's a C-3PO somewhere, but we still can't locate him.
We're all intrigued now and rooting for you.
Yeah. If we find any more, we must post them somewhere.
So the Rebel Commando, the guy in the green green fatigues. I mean, did you look at him and remember him from Return of the Jedi? Was he instantly recognisable as a Star Wars figure?
I think I watched the first 3 original movies, and then I didn't really know that figure was from the film. I just thought it was an ordinary figure. Didn't really know it was a Star Wars figure because I was quite young when I watched the first 3. So
he's not one of the what you'd call an iconic Star Wars figure, is he? He just looks.
No.
If you found him in a toy box, he'd just look like a random soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you thought he was action force, because we've got a few of those as well that were mixed in. So I think perhaps Seth thought it might have been one of those to start off with.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, did you have action figures from other lines when you were a bit younger? Did you play with action figures? Did you have Ben 10 or people like that? Was that a contemporary reference? I'm not sure.
Probably not.
My boy was into Ben 10. That's probably going back at least 15 years. So.
You didn't, did you? I can't remember you having those.
I don't think I ever had like Ben 10 or any, like any merchandise of like, Star Wars or anything. But I think I've never really liked series like Clone Wars or anything.
So you find this Rebel Commando in a box, and your dad explains a little bit about what it is and where it's come from, and that obviously, captured your imagination. If you go into any toy shop now and you look at the action figures that are available for Marvel or any of those things, they're actually quite sophisticated. They've got lots of joints. They look like the people they're supposed to look like. And the old Star Wars figures, they're a little bit, I guess, crude. They're not as sophisticated or as modern looking, I guess. So there must have been an appeal. You thought, yeah, this is cool. I like this. Can you remember what you thought in terms of why you liked it so much? Or?
Yeah, I think that the first figures looked better than the ones today. I mean, they're a bit more basic, the ones like back in the first films, but the ones that you get these days, I think they just look a bit, like too
they're almost
good.
too finished,
Yeah.
aren't they? Yeah, they're almost too good in some respects.
I mean, that's a really interesting and fascinating to get your perspective on that. So you've got your Rebel Commando. How did you find out about the others? What did you do to go and look up the full range, and what was it that inspired you to collect the set?
Well, I think when we found the Rebel Commando, I think Dad was looking at some of them on eBay and just looking at like old figures and stuff. And then I thought that it was a stupid price for just one figure. But I think over time, I started to like the figures because I started to watch the films more.
Looking at the figures and getting into the figures made you kind of go back, return to the movies and relive those.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of probably fueling it because I started to disappear down rabbit holes on eBay and start looking at all these characters and trying to remember the figures that we did have before they were lost. So I think we both started looking, didn't we? And I think we thought, yeah, this could be really good if we could get a full set together. And I think it kind of refueled a passion for me as well to get those figures that I probably didn't have as a child.
What did you think, Rich, to the prices and the whole world that's been built up around this? It's very deep. It's quite an established hobby.
It is. I mean, I've always been aware how big the hobby is, not least through yourself and how into it you are. But yeah, I knew it was out there as a big interest. And I think when I saw the prices, as I said before, I can remember going down to Asda, and they were on the back wall by the checkouts, which was good strategic placing for parents to get the money out. And they were £1.49 or £1.59. And now when you see the cards now, the carded figures with £1.59 on, and it's a vinyl Cape Jawa, that went for about 29 grand. You can't believe it. So I think what it made me think, I just wish you could turn back time and go into Asda and buy the whole collection, all the figures for £1.59. I think it kind of thought, God, it's amazing how sought after they are.
But where's the fun in that?
Well, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And as I said before, I don't seem to remember. I don't know if you're the same, because I know you got your original collection from the loft, but I don't seem to remember a lot of kids having like lots and lots of figures and lots of vehicles back then. I know the 70s was a pretty hard decade, but I don't remember people having an abundance of figures. They just had a sort of handful.
When you talk to people and they say, "Oh, I had everything," they didn't. They didn't have everything. I used to think I had a lot, but I found photographs and even old diary entries of things I've bought, and my figures didn't fill a Darth Vader collector's case. I've got photographs of like when I did bring it down from the loft, and it's a couple of big ships, it's a few mini rigs, it's 20 or so figures, not a massive amount. So I think you're right. Maybe in our memories, because we got together with our friends down the street and we all had these battles together, it felt like there was more stuff around than there maybe was. But I don't know anybody who had like everything.
No, I know someone who he got the AT-AT and he was classed as the posh kid.
It was birthdays and Christmas was when you got
very much
those big things. And I think it's why, personally, I'm into a lot of that ephemera, the letter set, rub down transfers and lolly wrappers and Marvel weeklies, because that was your day-to-day Star Wars. That was the stuff that, you could spend your pocket money on. And figures. I think when my first figure was about 85p, and I think it was during the course of the run, they ended up being £1.50. But I remember 85p, my mum sucking her teeth going, how much?
Yeah, not a lot of money, but it was a lot of money there.
It was. But I think she, after seeing the play value I got out of them, she sort of learned to appreciate it and didn't mind buying me the odd figure from time to time.
Yeah.
Seth, going back to you and your Commando, and you and your dad sat on eBay looking at all these figures that came out. Can you remember which is the first one that you got to add to your collection?
I think we looked at, because we didn't know about job lots, and I think we went for a carded figure first, and I think it was a Lando that we got the first, and that was carded. But I don't really think we ever picked up loose figures because we didn't know much about it then. But yeah, that Lando ended up to be, because we didn't know much of it, the card was repro. It wasn't a official card. We didn't know that at the time because we were new collectors. But yeah, the card was repo.
Well, that proves a point that we make quite a lot. I mean, we do and have been recently discussing reproductions and how they can fool new collectors, and that's our point made perfectly there. But it didn't put you off, clearly, and they say in this world that you pay for your education, so you have to chalk it up to experience. I mean, so which Lando was it, out of interest? The grey and blue one?
It was the grey and blue one. Yeah. It was the one without the white teeth.
That's it. Yeah. See, you're into your variants now.
We are, the little nuances. It was a vintage figure on a
repro
almost
card.
like an inkjet card. We think, don't we?
Yeah.
So I think that was our sort of first foray, and I think probably got burned. But there you go.
Did you suspect when it arrived that it wasn't legit? Did you kind of work that out yourself, or did you check it against anything?
Well, when it arrived, when I touched the card, it did feel weird seeing a figure from like 1980, but we didn't know it was fake. I thought it was real because, like I said, we didn't know what we were collecting. We were new collectors. I thought it was real, really. Didn't really know it would be a repro.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah, it was your dad dropping me a line, just some advice on spotting repro and that whole minefield. So I did write some pointers. Dad tells me that you've been on the Imperial Gunnery and you've been educating yourself in some of the things you can do to spot these repros. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, when we got the Lando figure, we did take it out of the card because the figure is real, but the card is just a repro.
But your advice was really helpful, Craig, on that one. So I think we steered away from those sort of things. Seth's really big on getting the real thing, aren't you? You don't want repro weapons or anything.
No, I'd rather wait until, a good weapon that's not repro comes on.
I think we'd almost, as well, just on that, we'd probably have accept figures that were perhaps in not perfect condition, but as long as they are real, we'd rather have them than immaculate repros.
Which is great, but I'm interested to know why that's important to you, Seth. Why it's important that it's the real stuff and not some, not a pristine looking, albeit repro figure and weapon.
Well, I think if you're going to collect vintage stuff, you want it like as vintage as you can get, because if you're getting repro weapons, there's no point of even collecting vintage stuff. The weapons that they come with, well, not all of them are with the figures that you buy. So I think if you've got to be careful of repros and definitely get the original weapons when you can.
Good advice. So after Lando, you started looking at job lots and just finding figures in that way. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we did search for a job lot. I mean, I think when we were looking, we found job lots with good amount of figures in. I think you spend the right amount of money for how many figures you got, because when we got ours, it started at, what was it, 160?
Yeah, it was there's quite a lot of bids.
Yeah.
And it was quite a good job lot because there's quite a few weapons, wasn't there? So we noticed that, and again, the description seemed pretty genuine to get started. And I forget, was it about 59 figures? Or
was it 66 or something?
I can't remember now how many.
I think it was, but I think some of the figures in there would have been hard to get hold of loose today. For instance, Chewbacca with C-3PO on his back. So that was quite hard to get hold of. And I also found that there's more figures in that job lot that would have been quite expensive. For instance, that mint condition stormtrooper. I think that would have been quite hard to get hold of, that clean.
Nice. You managed to get a job lot at a decent price with, what we're saying, between 30, 40 figures in?
Yeah.
Probably a few more, actually.
I think it was 50 to 60,
Yeah.
something like that.
There's quite a few in there.
How did it feel opening that box and getting those figures out?
When the boxes came, we left them till the night to open. But I think, it felt better than touching a carded figure, because with carded figures, you can't have a look at the figure itself. So I think when I touched the first figure, I don't know which one it was exactly, but it just felt better than touching a card.
Was it Bosk?
Probably was, wasn't it?
Bosk, I think.
Yeah.
Did you have a favourite out of that lot?
Well, there's a lot in that lot that I quite like. I mean, I quite like the Boba Fett in there as well. That's quite a good figure.
Attack Driver.
Oh yeah, that Attack Driver as well, and that Vader as well, because he looks quite different without his cape on.
Did he have a cape, this one?
Yeah, he had a cape.
I mean, that's a great way to kickstart a collection, finding a job lot at a good price, and what you can do now is, if other ones come along that are slightly better condition, you can swap them out and sell those on. And what happens is now your collection will start to fund itself. You can start to buy and sell things to your dad and help add to that. I mean, did you have any thoughts on how you were going to display them when you first got this lot of figures together?
Well, I suppose it was just the thought of getting figures and, seeing them, because at the time we weren't worried about the display. We were just, keen to see these figures. And I think, where we displayed them wasn't as good as what we've got now. We started to get, more figures each time to add to our collection. And I think when you've got that much, it looks better in a cabinet than it does just like on a shelf.
And for me, that's part of the fun, tracking these things down, learning about them, understanding them, finding out the stories, but also displaying them. And that's a big buzz, and you can stand back and look at that and go, wow, yeah, that's cool. What shall I get next?
Yeah, we love that, don't we?
Have you just bought exclusively from eBay at the moment?
Well, because of what's going on, we've had to. We didn't have the chance to go into any of these fairs and trade figures and get some more. So eBay's been our number one site for buying these and selling figures that we had duplicates of.
So you've yet to feel that the joy of rummaging through a box.
Yeah.
We really want to do that, don't we? Yeah, we really
give it time. I mean, they've announced Echo Live. I think as we record this, I think they announced it yesterday, and I think from memory it's like the 7th of August.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll be there.
As it stands at the moment, how many figures have you got?
Well, it must be 80.
I think we're now just short of the last 17. I think.
Yeah. Well, we've got everyone apart from last 17 now.
So the last 17. I mean, are you keen to get all those, or are you looking at them and thinking, what kind of prices is that?
Yeah, Dad is. You want to complete it?
Yeah, I want to complete it because it will look brilliant. And, I think you've got to do it not so you buy them all at one time. I think you've got to buy one time. So you're not spending, for instance, there's a yak face for you're looking 300, and then more figures, yeah, you're looking 200 plus. So I think it's nice to spend on a budget where you can get your figures one at a time, because I think if you get all the last 17 at the same time, it's going to be no fun.
No, and I think from the sounds of it, you've done really well in what sounds like a short space of time to get the collection you've got already. So I think the last 17 is an opportunity for you to pause, save up, shop around, and sort of piece it together at a bit more of a leisurely pace. And I guess savor the moments.
Yeah, I think that's part of the fun, because I think through lockdown, I think it's been a good hobby. It probably owes a lot to lockdown, really, that we've just kind of, between us, we've tried to amass the collection as not as fast as we can, because we've been quite selective over what we've chosen, haven't we? We've done pretty well. But I think the last 17, you're right, Craig. I think we want to sort of take our time and go to some of the fairs.
Yeah, and I think when you're spending that kind of money, it does help to see these things in hand and speak to some reputable dealers, and it gives you that extra layer of confidence, I think.
There's a bit of a badge of honour in having a rummage and doing some trade-offs and things, and as you say, going to things like the thing at Redditch and doing it in person. I think that adds something to it as well.
I mean, I'm sure, Seth, you've encountered this on eBay, where people will grade their figures and encase them in little boxes. What's your view on that?
Well, I think it increases the value in them, quite high. And I think we were going to get one done at some point, which was the Stormtrooper, and we think that could have got quite high, but we didn't choose to do it because I think where our case is, I think they would just look as good in the cabinet that we've got at the moment. So I'm not really too keen on getting figures graded. I see why people do it, because they say they've got a figure that they want to keep immaculate. But I think if you've got the weapon with it, it makes it good in the glass case. And I've seen a few of those on eBay, and it does, like I said, it does make the value go quite high. But I'm not really keen to get one graded anytime soon.
You like to pick them up as well and look at them, don't you? And that's the good thing about a loose run, I think.
Well, I'm totally with you. I've never been a big fan of grading as a collector and going and getting mine graded, nor as a buyer. I don't think they're particularly attractive. And like you say, the toys, you want to pick them up and you want to handle them. And I understand it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And clearly not for you either. So that's fair enough. No one can tell you how to collect, Seth. There's no right or wrong way to do this.
Oh, they've encased him in carbonite. He should be quite well protected.
We've mentioned your cabinet a couple of times. Tell us about that. Tell us what you went for to get these things on display.
Well, when we first started collecting, I think we wanted something where we could display these figures, because it was proven that we're not going to do carded figures. We displayed it on a shelf, and I don't think it looked as good. So then we got in contact with someone who makes the cabinets, and we did send off to one, and it came, and I think it just looks way better in there. And it can light up and stuff. You can turn the brightness up and down, and we put the weapons in with the figures. We haven't got every weapon yet, but I'm not really desperate for the weapons. I'm just desperate for to complete my collection, and then we'll probably go for the weapons after. I think the display just makes them look way better.
I mean, it's stunning. I mean, your dad sent me photos. Rich, remind me where it came from. We need to give him a shout out.
Oh yeah, it's Drew Tegg, and it's Collector Displays. I think we're in Wiltshire. So yeah, shout out to Drew. He's got quite a waiting list, so he managed to fit us in. And it's a piece of work, Craig, as you've seen it. It lights up little LEDs. It's Star Wars branded on. It's so well made. When it arrived, I was actually stunned. I didn't think it would be such a thing of beauty, and it is.
It does look great. I don't think I've ever seen one in the flesh. I think Grant on the podcast, I think he got one.
Yeah.
If I was starting again, I would absolutely go down that route. I just think it just ties it together. And for those people who are listening, it's a shelf that you can wall mount. I think you can have portrait versions and landscape versions. I think I'm saying that. Yeah. The back of the cabinet features the little coloured squares that would have been on the card backs. So every figure has its place in there. So if you have a set that's incomplete, it still kind of works. It's still full. It's still got that visual appeal. It's not like you've got massive obvious gaps. It does tie together. So yeah, we'll share a few photos of that. because I think, like you're intimating, well worth the investment.
I think it's just so well made, and as Seth said, if you're gonna go to the trouble of getting a loose run together, I think part of the battle is how it's displayed, because if you just do them on a shelf, they just look a bit stuck in a corner, but this makes them pride of place. Yeah. So yeah, worth it very much. It looks fantastic. It's a real showpiece. In fact, we've shown so many people, and I think it's the guys sort of my age who've been absolutely knocked out by it. Anyone who comes around, including the brother-in-law, who's a similar age to me, he's seen it, and I think he wants one. So, yeah, it's brilliant. And as Seth said, little characters like Yoda really, really stand out, and with the lights on, it's you get back the mystique of those early vintage figures. It's brilliant.
Lovely stuff. So your dad's showing off your collection, Seth.
Yeah.
Have you shown it off to your friends?
I have told a few, yeah. Some of them like old stuff, but I think many these days would definitely go for new figures because they're easier to pick up, easier to get. But I think with the old ones, they're harder to get, but I think it's way more funner.
Absolutely. So your cabinet obviously only, it fits the loose figures, and you've got a very clear mission with your next 17, which are going to be big purchases. Yeah. That's the way it is. I mean, are you looking at other things? Would you want to go on and look at the ships and the vehicles?
Well, ships are something that I would like to collect, and vehicles as well. I think there's a couple ships which I do quite like, which is the Millennium Falcon, and I quite like the speeder bike as well, Slave One. Yeah. I probably wouldn't collect any more carded figures because, I'm not really a big fan of them. I don't think you can do anything with them. I think it's because at least with the loose ones, you can actually, look at them, just play with them and stuff, which is really good with the loose ones. I suppose some people do like the carded ones. I think it just proves something that people have, never got them out of the cards.
I can understand why the loose figures hold more appeal. And if you get into loose ships and loose play sets, and you can get yourself a few Hoth stormtroopers and set up a little Imperial base, I mean, that's all great stuff.
I think when we're on eBay, just looking at Star Wars vintage stuff, we do come across some of the old, the Dagobah system and stuff. I mean, there's nothing really, that catches my eyes in like these play sets. I mean,
Ewok Village.
Yeah, I quite like that, but I think the Dagobah system just looks like a piece of plastic. It's nothing special, really.
No, it doesn't have the same charm that the actual characters have.
Yeah.
My home, slimy. My home, this is.
One thing I am interested in is where you get your information from, Seth. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Imperial Gunnery, and that's great for weapons and things. But do you go to sites regularly, or do you look anywhere online for the things you want to know?
I still need a little bit of help on the fakes, but I think I know a bit more than I did when I started because, when you've looked at them for quite a long time, more fakes.
Yeah, I've been on High as a Kite and Imperial Gunnery and quite a few. I think you quite enjoy matching up the figures with the correct guns, and we've done float testing, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's great that information's out there. So have you bought any books about collecting, or has it all been online?
We did buy a book, yeah. That tells you all about the old figures and, what you're collecting and, like the first 12, last 17 and, some of the rare figures that...
The story of Kenna.
Yeah, that's it.
Which book did you buy?
It's the one with Vader on the front, and I think is it From Screen to Collectible or something?
Yeah. That's a great book. I mean, that's the book that kickstarted a lot of people collecting.
And then there's a show on Netflix, and it's the toys that made us.
Yeah.
And that told me a bit about it as well. So,
as an 11-year-old, you're a couple of years off being fully involved in social media as well, Facebook groups and forums and things like that. So you've got all that to look forward to.
Yeah, I have seen a couple of, stores who do sell stuff online. I think they are on social media as well. They're not just, I think you can definitely get them off social media as well.
You enjoy researching it, though, don't you?
Yeah.
You enjoy finding out more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the thing is that you're not really interested in the kind of newer figures like the sort of retro. What was it? The Hasbro ones, was it, Craig? You'll tell me. The ones they did the retro collection and stuff. Better figures based on the vintage figures, but you're not even interested in those, are you? Really? You just want the vintage.
Yeah, just the 1977 to 1985.
You're what we call a purist, Seth.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, are you interested in collecting anything else from that era of Star Wars? Has that made you look at things like books from that time, or
like stationery and things?
Stationery and things that have that old vintage Star Wars feel. If that appeals to you, is that something else that you can look at in terms of adding to your collection in a different way beyond just figures?
I would do that. I mean, some of the things you can collect, I didn't know even existed. I didn't know that, for instance, some of the, I think there was a jigsaw, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That I saw, and like a game or something, and
badges.
Yeah, badges. There's some of those at Grandma's, definitely. I know that. So yeah, I would keen to do that. But I think I'm more interested into the figures than I am, like stationery stuff and badges, and I don't mind that stuff, but I think I was more interested in the figures.
It's good to have a focus.
Who knows where it could branch off into, Craig? We could be like you, collecting all the Helix stationery and things like that.
Well, I think if we do get a chance to hang out at something like Echo Live, that will open up lots of new avenues, because you only see what you're searching for on eBay, don't you? These places are great just to discover new things.
Yeah, I think we'd be keen to, because otherwise, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with ourselves when we've got all 96 figures? So we're going to need something else to do, aren't we? So, yeah, I think we would look at other sort of strands of the hobby.
So, I mean, have you got any questions for me, Seth, while we're here having a chat? I mean, is there anything you want to know that's been puzzling you, or?
Probably, what is your favourite figure in your collection?
Well, that's a good question. I think, as figures go, I like the Emperor's Royal Guard. I always thought he was a great-looking figure. I like Greedo.
Oh, yeah, we like him the same.
But I think sentimentally, my Chewbacca figure, which is the first one I ever bought. If I have to save one from a fire, it would be him. What about you, Seth? Have you got a favourite?
Well, I do quite like the ATST driver. Quite like that one. I also quite like Walrus Man, and I do quite like, even though it's on screen for like a second, I do quite like the Imperial Dignitary. I think that's quite a cool figure.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is, because usually he's one of the least popular, isn't he? But you like him. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, it's good to hear somebody bigging up the Imperial Dignitary. What about you, Rich? Same question.
I think for me, being a nostalgia junkie, it's the one that when we ordered some figures and they arrived, it's the ones that I'd forgotten about. People, things like Bosk, the bounty hunter, I'd forgotten about him, and even Squid Head. Perhaps it was based on the ones I wanted as a kid but never got. So I think I had the kind of run-of-the-mill ones. So I think it's definitely the characters that were probably the ones I wanted as a kid but never did. So yeah, I think Squid Head, and then we got hold of Hammerhead as well. I think he's a really good figure, actually. I like him. I think he's really well made. A good one on the display.
I mean, Squid Head's an amazing figure. A really good figure.
Yeah.
Squid Head. And it's interesting, we've all mentioned Greedo, Hammerhead, Walrus Man. I mean, they're the most retro, I think, of all of them. With their crazy little leotards and
yeah.
Space anoraks. They're very of their time.
The one I can't remember from being small was Snaggle. We got hold of a Snaggletooth as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did get hold of him.
I didn't know he was that short.
Well, interesting story about Snaggletooth. Are you familiar with that, Seth?
Yeah, didn't they start him as blue, and then when they realised they got the costume wrong, so they had to make him into red.
So you know what's going on. I've got nothing to teach you.
My young apprentice.
What do you think about carded figures these days? Do you like them, or would you choose loose over carded or carded over loose? Or
when I first started collecting again, I was much more interested in the boxed ships. Back to what me and your dad were saying right at the start. They weren't something that we had a lot of. So when I started collecting again, I went for box ships over carded figures, and there were lots of carded figures around then. And it would have been the time to buy them. But it's never been like the main focus for me. I've always enjoyed the loose things. I've always enjoyed the box ships, and I've always enjoyed the other things around it. So like we've said, the jigsaws and the badges and all that cool stuff. For lots of people, the mocks, the mint on cards, that's what people go for. And I totally understand that. They're a very nice way of presenting a figure. If you've got a nice card, you've got the image, you've got those colours popping on the graphics. They don't take up a massive amount of room. So you do see these collections where they're beautifully presented in acrylic cases, and I always admire them. I always think they look stunning. But I know it's such a very difficult thing. If you're a completist, it's nigh on impossible, I would say, these days, unless you've got massive resources and deep pockets.
Yeah, I think it's quite limiting, isn't it, Craig? I think it's quite prohibitive for a lot of people as well, given the cost.
Indeed, and it's gone up in the last 10 years, to silly prices. I mean, hard to find one, under 50 quid now, and that's a ropey old Klaatu, So the more desirable ones they're out of reach for a lot of people, unfortunately. What I've seen grow a lot in the last few years is people collecting the actual card backs. There's a value in those now. People will buy a card back, and they will put it on display with their figure. But for me, it always bothered me, the rips on the cards, and people are taking the bubbles off, and things are always a little bit ugly. But you can buy acrylic cases now. You can slide the card down the back, and you can sit the figure in front.
Yeah.
We saw a Hoth Trooper, and it was out the card, and it just had the card, no bubble, but just the figure in front.
So that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
To get a few card backs, which are a lot more affordable than buying a sealed figure. But again, the prices of those are going up. So
I think you like the figures better than the card backs and things as well.
Oh yeah.
Do you want this? Well, go ahead. That's right, take it. Come on. You can have it. Come on. Good job. Good job, kid. You see that? That's right. I knew you could do it. Very good.
He's formed a strong attachment to you.
Have you watched The Mandalorian?
Oh yeah, quite like that. That's I like that. Yeah.
It feels like those old movies, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, The Mandalorian's really good. It's probably one of my favourite Star Wars series, but I've just never really been a fan of this Clone Wars. Just newer stuff. Really, I think most people would probably say the originals are probably the best. There's films like The Phantom Menace, and some of the characters in there just don't look like they belong in Star Wars. Like Jar Jar Binks or something. I just don't think that's a Star Wars character.
Really interesting. So what about the newer films, the Disney ones?
Oh, those ones. Yeah, I quite like those ones. I've been to the cinema to see those ones.
So they're getting those right for you?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think people are going to be really interested to hear you speak about this, Seth, because, as I said at the start, we want to encourage the next generation of people collecting vintage figures. So I want to thank you for agreeing to come on and having a chat with us.
That's fine.
You are the future of our hobby.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome.
It's been really good. You've enjoyed talking about it, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm a little bit jealous that you're starting out on this journey and you've got all this exciting stuff to come.
You're never too late. It's never too late, and I've proven that, Craig. 48 years old and can remember the first New Hope, and it's never too late.
That's good. You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Thanks for listening or watching along with this. If you've enjoyed it, you might like some of the other things we do. You can find all our podcast episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, including Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you have an Amazon Echo, you can say, Alexa, play Generation Skywalker podcast. And George Lucas will pop up to tell you that Star Wars is a positive film. If you like to watch along, you can find our enhanced shows on YouTube, as well as on our website at www.generationskywalker.com, where you can also find our blog posts, unboxings, Skywalker blasts, and even me painting an Ewok. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Generation Skywalker. And if you have fan mail for Seth, you can send it to generationskywalker@gmail.com, and we'll make sure that we forward that on. So all that remains is to say thank you again to Richard. Thank you very much for giving up some of your Saturday to come and talk to us.
Our pleasure, totally.
And Seth, thank you very much for coming on and talking to us.
That's no problem.
Thank you very much. We are Generation Skywalker.